My Hero Academia on the big screen was every bit as hype and fun as I expected it to be. But I will say there were some obvious compromises for people who may have never watched an episode of the show before. This film takes place just after the end of the UA final exams. All Might accepts an invitation from an old friend to visit a technically advanced island in America known as I Island, and he brings young Midoriya along with him. Super early on we find out the rest of Class 1A is also at the island, and a lot of them are going to have to work together to stop the plans of an evil villain, as these heroes often do. About what I'd expect from a My Hero movie, but what was really a shock to me was how funny the movie was. Almost every time the different students from Class 1A came together on screen, I found myself laughing at something.
Oh, hey there, Kacchan! Maybe calm down a little.
Don't you dare tell me what to do! Bakugo, behave yourself!
Why is that boy so angry?
That's just who he is.
He and Deku are fated rivals.
It just seemed like the humor stood out a bit more than it does in the actual show. As expected of a full movie, the animation is top notch, and you can tell there was probably a pretty decent budget for this movie. It's noticeable in particular whenever All Might fights. The way his raw power is conveyed through the animation on screen is amazing. The few times he really fights in the movie, you get a feeling for why he's clearly the #1 hero. I almost feel bad for the villains he fights because none of them even remotely have a chance of beating him. The same can be said for Midoriya's power, but to a lesser degree. Even with how good this movie was, it wasn't without its problems, one of which revolves around All Might. So, this movie makes an attempt to flesh out some of All Might's backstory by showing us some of his crime fighting days from before he became the #1 hero and the symbol of peace. While flashbacks were good, our problem is that they didn't really do anything to expand on All Might's lore. It seemed like they pretty much just showed me a visual of exactly what I imagined a young All Might to be like. The flashbacks were also very short and there weren't a lot of them at all, maybe 2 total. I can't speak for anyone else, but I definitely would have liked to have spent a lot more time in All Might's past. I spent 3 seasons with the heroes in training in Class 1A, and as much as I love them all, I think it would have been a nice change of pace to see more of All Might's friends and his loved ones from his younger years. Maybe you could have seen more of All Might's past if there wasn't as much screen time used for direct clips from Season 1. A lot of time was wasted on providing background for possible people who have never seen the show, and in my opinion, they could have definitely used those minutes to give us more All Might plot. At least for the theater I was in, it seemed like everybody there was already a day one fan of the show. My other issue with the movie was the main villain. Without any spoilers, I can say that he just seemed kinda generic. For those of you who watch the show, he doesn't even come remotely close to somebody like Stain. Granted, many villains don't, but at the same time the main villain in Two Heroes wasn't even as interesting as like Shigaraki. Those minor gripes aside though, this was still an amazing film and I can definitely say it did the brand justice. I highly recommend any My Hero fan and even any anime fan to go see this movie. And see it in theaters if you can, because the big screen experience for anime is awesome. This is a great step forward for anime in America, and I have a feeling that soon it'll be just as popular here as every other form of visual entertainment. Let me know if y'all have seen or plan to see this down in the comments, subscribe for more anime content, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.